my Restream. And there I am right there. Oh, I'm actually live.
There you are. Son of a bitch, there he is.
Well, it put me live a minute early.
That's okay. That's what happens when you're really good looking.
That has nothing to do with anything.
No, that means the live was already programmed for the current times.
Yeah, all I had to do is log in. So what's going to happen is you're going to see this go black probably about a minute before. About a minute before, and then when it because it's hold on, don't touch it.
Right here.
Yeah, about a minute before the hour, it's going to go. Just leave it alone, because I'll go in there and I'll hit. Huh?
I'm just showing you.
Yeah. Anyway, did you get those that deal? Did you order that today?
Yeah, she's gonna give it to me in the morning.
Nice. That's when you like it in the morning.
Yeah, that's when you're ready for it, you know.
That's when you're ready for it. First thing in the morning, you're ready. You know, no. So we need to go do Rumble instead of these other ones. So X, Rumble, and YouTube, and I want to wean myself off YouTube too. Why are you lying? Why are you lying?
Stamp on 10, this looks like you dropped a turd.
Man, that guy's. Anybody that wants to vote for Kamala Harris, what are they voting for? A hooker.
They're voting to kill their babies.
They're voting to kill babies. Giving service jobs, because mainly she's on her knees all the time. You got to excuse me, America. That's what I think of our current vice president. And you know, it is what it is, and I don't care if you don't like it. You can turn the channel if you don't like it. You know, we're all about business here, and if you heard Governor Greg Abbott,
business, not blowjobs.
Well, Governor Abbott yesterday, and I broke this story. Nobody listened to me because I don't have a platform. Over a year ago, that they were going to do their own stock exchange in Texas, and everybody I talked to said, "Oh, that's baloney, 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 baloney." But I was reading. See, this is what happens when you do nothing but nerd stuff. I'm nerding all the time on statistics and reading what governments are doing and stuff. These big companies. And BlackRock said that they were going to give this one little company in Texas $100 million to start this little exchange. And nobody ever wanted to talk about it because it wasn't news. And of course, because I don't have a platform, nobody, you know, but I got receipts. I was the very first company to ever talk about this, ever. And then yesterday, he announced that they're going to start the stock exchange. So that's pretty cool stuff. I mean, really cool stuff. Trillions and trillions of dollars is going to come into Texas, and it's going to be amazing. So we can get our TV network around that. That'll be wonderful. Hey, by the way, we had like 9 leads come in yesterday. 9.
I saw that.
Like,
I saw that.
Where did the hell that come from?
Well, like I said, I think the more I have you on the playlist talking about this and that with the phone number up or whatever the fuck we're doing.
Yeah. Hey, you can't cuss because you're live here.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the more people are clicking on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you. It's you, baby. It's you.
It's the old Indian. I sold a deal last night and I said, all us Indians are drunks. And the guy that was there said, no, you're not. That was a misperception. I go, you're right. It was a misperception. But a lot of us were. And then he got sober about 7 years after I did.
Wow.
So we had that in. As soon as I said that, I knew this guy's buying our services. And sure enough, they did, you know. Isn't that amazing? You buy from people that you're just the people that you're like. So those of you out in TV land, by the way, we're coming into the next hour here. Let's see what happens on. Oh, now watch. I'm going to go back to the playlist. Don't touch nothing because Hubert came on, right? So now I'm going to go back to don't touch anything. I'm going to go back to our software. And then I'm up there where it says resume, play, in progress. I'm going to click on that right above edit playlist. I'm going to click that. It's going to bring up this little tab here. I'm going to hit yes. And there I am. Oh, come on now. Come on. Okay, hold on a second. So when this happens, I go back to edit playlist. Then I'm going to go back to Tuesday. I'm going to go down to the, oh, here's why. Because it's not the 2100 hour yet. You see that? The clock down there? The clock is 20 hours and 59. This is what I was saying. The time zones don't match up. Like, this is the software. The software is off a couple of minutes. Now watch what's going to happen here in about 15 minutes. Watch. Or in about 15 seconds. 6 seconds now. 6 seconds. Watch what happens. There I am. Bam! Did you see that? So that's how you do it. It's not that hard. All those extra steps that somebody taught you made it different. That's why you always had trouble.
Oh, well, that's funny you say that, because you're actually, instead of just copy and pasting the format, you're doing it from scratch.
Yeah, of course, because that's how easy it is. This is easy software to use. It should not be difficult. Like, this should be really simple. It's one of the simplest programs. This is old. Everyone in the TV business knows that Master Play is the oldest.
Are you gonna hit record?
It's the oldest. It's the oldest, most simple program out there. It's the easiest. It's like playing solitaire on the beginners. You know, it's not a master. This is the beginner stuff. Like, if a person can't do this, then they should not be doing this job at all. No. Anyway, yeah, we're recording. I'm going to put my jacket on here in just a second. Anyway, what else is going on? Is that it?
That's it. I'm going to take whatever you do right now and put it up on the playlist. So
sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Faith. Right. Goodbye.
Talk soon.
All right. All right, America, don't turn that dial. This is the Fly Mackey Show, and I'm your host, Fly Mackey. Good to have you with me tonight here in the studio. We're going to talk about a lady that we did a solar project with last night, and this is going to be amazing stuff. And when you go to sell, and I'm going to also break down the hourly, how much you make hourly, okay? And this is really cool stuff. Hold on one second here. I messed up my... Probably should keep that straight right there. I can mess things up, that's for sure. We don't want to mess things up if we can. But let's do some... Remind me to get some more markers, okay? Watch this right here. So I put my name on 4 sales in the last 2 weeks. 4 sales. And in 2 weeks. Okay? All right. Now, the first one was Alex and Fly. Second one was Alex and Fly. When you get a sales rep that you can work with, that's good. This one was Colton and Fly, and this one was Ray and Fly. I did 2 with Ray, and one of them canceled. I'm gonna put that one up there. Okay, this was a $60,000 deal. This was a $36,000 deal. This is why you have to be prepared when you go in house. Okay. This is a $21,000 deal. This is a $50,000 deal. And this was a $6,000 deal. So you add all that up, it comes to $173,000. Okay. This one took 3 hours. Okay. It took 3 hours. This one right here, it canceled because we took too long. This one took 6 hours, and I'll explain in a second. This one took 6 hours. This one took 6 hours, and this one took 6 hours. So you got a total of 24 plus 3, 27 man hours. Okay. Now you double this because there was a rep here involved here, but I just want to show you, as when you get to be when you get in the business, when you get into business and in sales, when you get into sales, you're into business for yourself. Look at this. I can almost do that. Okay. When you get into business for yourself, you're in business with yourself. Now watch this. Watch. You take, that's 27 man hours. Okay. All right. Now you take that 17,000, or excuse me, and in commissions, let's say that's 10% commissions. That's going to be 17,300 if that's a 10% commission. And this is how you break down, guys and gals, your pay and how you're getting paid and your man hours. So you take the 17,300 and you divide that by 27. That gives you 600. Divide that by 27, and that gives you $640.70 an hour. Now there's a lot more in this because the 6 hours included an hour drive there, an hour drive home, 4 hours in house on each one of these. This was called a fin deck. This was a approved. This was approved. This was a fin deck. And this was a cancel. Okay. So we had one cancel out of 5 sales. I had one out of 5 sales. I had one that canceled. This one shouldn't have canceled. When we got there, actually, this was a 21,000. Yeah, no, it was 6,000. We did the repair. So what we did was we decided when we got down to it, because she didn't want to do the full roof, the full project. Now last night the customers want a deck in the back, an awning that goes out, so they have that shade in the back, and they need their roof done. Okay, but in this case here, this is why you have to work hard when you're in house, and you can't afford to be going back to these places when they tell you no. I'll call you back, because number one, they never call you back. So a lot of people, the question you ask is, have you ever hired a contractor? Have you ever hired a contractor? And be quiet and let them answer you. And so a lot of times they'll say no. Well, if they haven't, then you have to really educate them why it's important that we do this today and not tomorrow. Now, if they said yes, like the lady and husband last night, they said, yes, we have hired a contractor before. I said, great. So how was your experience? Well, it was good. Then you're really going to have a great experience with us then. And then we took them through the agenda of why we're there. And I asked, did the person on the phone explain to you why we were there? And she said, yes, you're going to do an inspection, and then you're going to show us the results of the inspection, which means she was paying attention. Okay. And so we told her, yes, we're going to do a tour, going to get up on your roof, do an inspection. The guy's going to get up in the attic, do another inspection. Then we'll sit down at your dining table. We'll go over the results of your inspection. And then after that, we'll tell you a little bit about the company, because in all the thousands of jobs that this company's done, they found that it's just as important as what they're going to pay for the project. Because look at here, that project last night is a $50,000 project. And what kind of material they're going to use, what's more important than those two, the material or even the price, is who's going to do the work. Like who am I picking to do the work for me? That's more important. And our homeowners in our thousands of jobs have told us what's more important than the price of the material is the company. And so that takes a couple of minutes to go over all that. And then after that, but that's the most important part. And then after that, they get to go roof shopping. They got to take their view of which pick they wanted on 2 different roofs or do a repair. And ultimately, and I'll tell you in a second here, we added the solar on here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And then after that, before you leave the house, and this is why it's important, have you ever hired a contractor? Because you can't be asking these guys to continuously come back. They lose so much money. And when you beat them down on price, you're losing out on, you're not going to get what you asked for. You can't. Use your common sense. You can't. When you go to do laundry and you put in, if you don't have any laundry soap, and you wash it and the washing machine does a great job of it, but it's not going to do the job as if you put soap on it. And this is what happens, soap in the wash. And this is what happens when you beat down a contractor in price. He has to take something out of the formula. Okay. All right. And so before they leave the house, we sign contracts, put them in the installation schedule, which is the biggest of all of it, in my opinion, is the installation schedule. When are we going to do it? Why is that important? Because those roofers are going to rip that roof off. And in 2 days, it's going to expose everything. They better, the time they do it is important. And what am I going to do when they're up there hitting? I was on a few years ago out on a job. Now I'm not doing the work or anything like that, and we're in the TV business, but we filmed this stuff, and we were out, and the guy who was the project manager was there. He's a big fat guy like me, and he man, this guy's nimble. He got up that ladder and I'm like, dude, how did you do that so good? Like you're like an athlete. And he goes, because I've been up and down this ladder, when I was skinny, he said. I'm like, okay, well, you're good. He was too. Anyway, it just got light outside. It's like 5 a.m. It just starts getting light. And the guy comes out and goes, it's 5 a.m. Cut the, yeah. And he told him, go back inside and be quiet. Like, it's going to be 110 degrees today. And we're going to finish this roof, the majority of it, today in about the next 5 hours. So please go back inside. And we told them, and I was part of the sale on that deal. I told them, said, when these guys come, mind your business. They're trained. They don't need you to oversee them. There's a project manager. And that's what the project manager, he told them, we're coming at daylight when we do this job because it's summer and it's an average 110 to 115 degrees every day. So we're going to get this job in 1 day. It was a 1-day job, this particular roof. And sure enough, they got up there and did. The guy was so mad, but when it was over with, he goes, oh my, look at that roof. He was so excited. He goes, but that's what it takes. You leave them alone. But you can have great experiences if you hire a real contractor. Not saying that people who aren't licensed, bonded, insured aren't real contractors. There's a lot of great contractors. But when you hire somebody that's licensed, bonded, insured, with skilled labor, these guys get certified. They know what they're doing. You're not picking up these guys at Home Depot. Okay? You're not. You're not picking up day labor. You're not picking up, and your workers may be great. They may be great workers, okay? Unskilled, but they're going to get there in 3 or 4 or 5 years. They'll be great skilled workers because they'll have done 100 roofs by then or so. But, you know, these companies that go through all that effort, they have company trucks, they have their insurance, you know, these guys, workman's comp, they go through the all that work to know how to apply it. They get certified in making the application and putting the roof on. Did you know the average roof has like a dozen to 12 different things that goes on it, not just shingles and paper and a nail. I mean, there's a lot of things that goes on a roofing system. Anyway, they said yes, we had, and so by the time we left, we'd signed a contract for the $50,000 because they didn't want to go through another six hours with another contractor. When I say 6, it took us an hour to drive there, an hour to drive back. That's 2 of the hours. But we spent 4 hours in house between the inspection, sitting down, going over the inspection, going over the results, going over the roofing systems that they could buy, and then picking one, and then trying to figure out the financing. So that's a lot of hours. That's half of a day. Half of a day. So you can't expect people to be coming back. It's impossible. These guys will never get paid, and they can't make their mortgages when you do that to them. So know what you're doing when you hire somebody. Have a little courtesy, slow down, show up, make sure that all the decision makers are there. And if you get a contractor who comes, and by the way, I love the roof. I'm a remodeler. I'm in the business. When you get a remodeler shows up and they're there for 10 minutes and they say, okay, I'll send you the price. What's your email? And then they send it to you without ever going up into the attic, without ever going up and doing a full inspection. A full roof inspection means you go up on the roof and you inspect the entire roof. That you go around the house under and you look up under the entire roof. You go up in the attic and you have to crawl that attic to see where the stuff is, where it is. And then you can get, where there's any leaks or anything going on, any holes, any organic growth, whatever's up there, any wood that's rotting. So, or if it's in great condition, there's nothing that I like better than getting up into an attic, a roof, and then go up in the attic and said, we're leaving. Why? Because you don't need a roof. You're good for another year or two. If you want to hire us, you're at least good for another couple of 4 or 5 or 6 years, whatever, right? 2 to 6, 10 years. You got a long way to go with this roof right here. But what you need to do in order to keep your warranty going is have a licensed, bonded, insured contractor get up on that roof once a year. That's us. We'll call you back in a year. We'll come do your inspection. It'll cost you a couple of $100, but it keeps everything straight for you. Your warranties, if you ever have a problem, you've already had a licensed, bonded insurance contractor that told you all about everything, and there you go. They can make a report if they want to, et cetera, just like you have your AC guys. And hardly anybody does that for roofing. And what's crazy is, like, if it's raining outside and you don't put a cover over your head, your hair is going to cover a little bit of it, but as soon as it gets wet, it's soaked through. It's the same way with your roof. If you don't have it weather tight where it doesn't get to here, it's soaking through. So anyway, we're doing this right here and how that works out and how you get paid. And of course, you divide this by 2, and this you can make it by 2, which comes to $320, $1.35. And of course, this is only based on a couple of weeks. When you spread this out, that goes way down. That's going to go down. But you can make a good career as a salesperson if you do the right thing for the homeowners when you're in their home. Okay, it's real important. They don't care how much you make. What you make is irrelevant. What you make in the salary is irrelevant. It doesn't matter the cost. It doesn't matter the material. It's who puts it down. Whose name is going on that workmanship. On when they sign off, this job is done, and an inspector comes out afterwards. If you don't have an inspector come out after you do your house, then you hired the wrong contractor, and everything falls apart from there. Okay, so why would you spend 10, 15, 20, $30,000 getting a half-priced job done that you're going to spend again, except next time it's going to cost you double? Okay, anyway, we're just going over some basics of what a contract looks like and stuff. Hold on one second. This is exciting, very exciting to watch this. Bada bing, 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 bada bing. I love to listen to that noise. So, a couple of times a day, I spend about 30 minutes to an hour a day getting my mind straight so that I can focus on details. I don't know what that means. We don't want to advertise for anybody. So I try to get my mind straight. Some people do numbers games or tests, and some guys, like my dad, always did the crossword puzzle every morning because that got his mind straight, because his mind was focused on words and stuff like that. So that's how he does mine. I do a couple of things. Meditation helps. Spending time being grateful for what I have. Usually I spend that with the dogs. I'm really grateful being able to be the master over some dogs. And there's just there's some other things. I play a game to help me get my mind focused on details on step 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you're going to find is when you get a contractor in your house, you want them to be focused. You want them to know what they're doing. And even if they don't know what they're doing, let's say they're new at it, you want them to follow a game plan. I used to go and do jobs, and I'd take them a piece of paper and I'd read it. Say, I'm going to read this to you because I have it memorized, but it doesn't sound good when I do this. So I'm going to read it, and I'd read it, and they go, God, you are new. And I'm like, yeah, but I tell you what, I know how to follow the order. And the company would, once again, I take them down that agenda. It's not the price. It's not the material. It's the company that does it. And I may be new in this position, but the company that you're going to hire isn't. That's why they want me to do this in order. So it may be a little kindergartnerish. Like I may be really amateur, but that you want to know what you're getting, right? I'm going to take you down that trail. And then that's the way it works. Hold on, America. Mm. Hold on, America. And there you go. It took 5 minutes. Sorry. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Now let's go over here to the smart money culture. And there you go. My hair is getting gray. So we're going to so this is just some of the things that we had to ask the customer who they are, bam 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 bam, when do they buy? You when they come out to your house, they should know all these things about you. Like when you bought the house, what's your name, your address, of course, how much is the house worth, exactly. Because when you do a remodel, let's say, and by the way, we're a channel just like HGTV. We're talking about remodeling and stuff like that. When you do a remodel and your house is worth $300,000, about 12% of that is going to be the price of a new roof. If you get a new roof, so if you do the math on that, that's about 34%. Let me see if I got my math on that right. 310,000 times 12% and is 37,000. So I'm off a little bit, but that's about right. Okay. Now, you're going to get contractors that'll come in and say, "Oh, I can do that for 15 or 20." Uh, Yeah, yes, they can give you a roof for 15 or 20,000. That's for sure. But they're not going to be able to buy new material. They're not going to be able, guys and gals, come on, man, wake up. You don't. You're not going to buy your roofing material from Home Depot. You buy them from a supply house. Okay. Home Depot is for repair, remodel, repair, not to do an entire roof. You can buy some shingles there, but you're not going to want to buy. They're not going to get the entire roofing system from Home Depot. They're not made for that. Okay. And or you're going to get recycled. And if you love recycling, people swear on recycling. If you like recycling, they take the shingles. Remember when your neighbor got their roof redone, and then you go to they go down there to the recycling plant, and they got guys all day long. These guys that come across the border usually. No, I'm just kidding. No. Good, hardworking Americans usually. Those recycling plants, because their workman's comp so high, usually they're hiring U.S. citizens. Um, a lot of the guys that go up on roofs are Latino. They are the Latino, but these guys usually Americans. Roofers are usually. I'd say this: the majority of roofers, even if they don't speak English, are American. There's a lot of Americans these days that don't speak English. Okay, it's just the way it is. I don't like that, but it is what it is. Okay, I love my Latino brothers and sisters. I happen to have some in me. All right. So if you like recycling, down at the recycling, I say a lot of stuff. Listen, if you get offended by me, then you're a wuss. You got to grow up, have some tough skin. Don't be offended with every little thing somebody says. Okay. I'm an old man, and I don't care. And I don't apologize. I don't care I had a lady tell me I'm offended. I'm like, okay, congratulations. Are you still hiring us? She goes, yes, but I just want you to know how I feel. And I'm like, well, I won't do that again. That was pretty simple. I won't do that again. And just move on. So easy to do that. Okay. So our goal, and my goal in life, is not to create harm, but every once in a while you say things. You can't apologize for being who you are. You just have to be the best not to harm somebody. Okay. All right. Anyway, down at the recycling plant, remember when your neighbor in your neighborhood, one of the houses got torn off and they threw all that stuff in a dumpster, right? The shingles, that black tar paper, wood, any old plywood that they had to take off, any metal flashing, the metal stuff that goes around it, etc. Any of that stuff, nail, it all just went into a dumpster. Well, that goes down to the recycling plant. And they got people that work 24 hours a day, and their only job is to separate those old shingles that still look good, and they put them in a pile. They do the same way with that black tar paper. They do the same thing with nails. They straighten out nails. Okay, they do the same thing with wood. Okay, and I'm just talking about the roofing portion of it. And then they redo them. So they got these 5-gallon buckets of granulars. You know, the granulars that go on top of the. Don't go nowhere. The granulars that are on top of the shingle. Look how thick that shingle is. That sucker. This company here that I'm doing work with, I'm consulting. Look how thick that sucker. This thing is heavy. About 300. About 450 pounds a square. That's heavy. That's a heavy roof. Okay, maybe up to 500 pounds a square, but that sucker's heavy. Okay. What they do is they have these 5-gallon buckets of these granulars, and then all they do is take this old shingle, and then they epoxy it. They just spray it, and then they take those granulars and they just they dip it in there, and then they got a new shingle, and they just lay it to the side. They put it in a package, and they resell it for like $5 a bundle instead of being, $250 to $300 to $500 a bundle. They're $5, and that's what they come put on your roof. So when somebody comes and says, I can do a job for half price, that's because they're not doing a project manager, either they're not having skilled labor, either they're getting old used material that couldn't go up there anyway. It's worse than the recycled, or they're putting that recycled on there. And that's why they're able to do it, because it costs hardly nothing for the material. Okay. Anyway, you're going to miss something out, because the price of a roof is the price of a roof. If you have a roof and the cost from a licensed, bonded, insured roofer, and even if they're not, if they're experienced, and that cost is $37,000, let's say, well, anybody who's doing that same roofing system is going to be the same price or somewhere in that range. If they get the second category of roof, or if they get the better roof, and that's a $50,000 roof, everyone's going to be at $50,000 or close to $50,000. They may be off a number or higher than a number, but they're not going to be $20,000 under the 50. They're not giving you that $50,000 roof for $30,000. You have to know this. I can get the same roof for $30,000. No, you can't. When you have a contractor come in and do a remodel job, and he says, and one guy says, oh yeah, the cost of it's $50,000. I'm going to tear up your room. I'm going to build you a new one. And then they start adding, you see the receipts for this stuff, and you go, there's no way that price, and you know that extra 20 is coming. You know it's coming, because they're allowed to do that. What are they allowed to do? They're allowed to add 70% to the job. Do the math. Let's do the math. Because if you've never hired a contractor, you have to learn how to hire a contractor. $37,000 plus 70%. That turns that $50,000 job into a $62,900 job. When you could have hired, this is what happens when they piece things out and they don't do it right, and you get the cheaper one. They're allowed to come in. Sorry, you can't see that. That turns that $37,000 job into $62,900. They're legally allowed to add 70% to the job. This is what happens when they tear into the job and go, oh, it's going to cost more. I didn't see this. I didn't see that. Some of that has to do with inexperience. Some of it has to do with they can't afford to buy the material, because they're not buying material. They're not buying their jobs. I like to work with companies that have been around, licensed, bonded, insured. These are the kind of people that come onto our network. But I like the one-man bands too, those guys out there, licensed, bonded, insured. They got one worker or two workers, They're not a big company. But when they get out there, sooner or later, that old guy or that old gal is going to retire. I met a female contractor, and she was 61 years old, and she was, she's like, I'm ready to retire. But this lady does excellent work. Anybody can do it, the work, once they get skilled in it, right? But this is what happens here. I got off subject there. When those jobs turn into this right here, and they go, well, he said no. What he did is you hired somebody who wasn't qualified to do your work. And this is why in the contracting business, that's why it's legal to do this. Because when you are not required to be licensed, bonded, insured, have workman's comp, all that stuff right there, be certified, any of that stuff, when you're allowed to do that, and I'm not against that, I'm for it. But when you allow that, you have to understand, if you play in that game, that this is what you're going to get more times than not. You're going to get the higher price. Rarely are they ever going to come in on price. Rarely. Okay. But once again, when you hire a company that already goes through the expense of getting licensed, bonded, insured, they're certified, they're skilled labor, they're buying their material in advance. So they have entire jobs The average house in America is how many squares on the roof? That's a 10 by 10. Anybody know? Anybody got any idea? When you hear the word square, that means 10 foot by 10 foot square. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. That's 10 square. Okay. See that? That's a square. 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay. So the average house in America is 30 squares. The average house in America is 30 squares. So your house, if you buy an average house, which most people do, 99%, I shouldn't say that, a large percentage of houses are only 30 square. Okay. So when you get a roof on a 30 square house, you know, depending on what kind of roof you get, it's going to typically be between like 37 and 50,000. You can't get around that. You can, but you have to know that you're getting something that's not licensed, bonded, insured, workman's comp. They don't have a project manager. These guys aren't certified. Once again, they may be wonderful people, but this is what you're eliminating. You may not be getting the right material. You may be getting cheaper material. You may be getting recycled material because they are not doing the same job. You don't get that for this. Why would somebody say, okay, I'm going to on purpose lose money for my company because they need the work? No, nobody's going to pay out of their pocket $20,000 to do a job for you. Or in this case, $13,000 difference. No contractor, wake up, use some common sense. No one is going to take $13,000 out of their pocket. No one to do your roof or any other project you have. No one. Well, they said they would. Well, that's because you're stupid. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. Stop it. Come on, man. You go to work every day. What if your employer says, I'm going to cut 25% of your salary and I expect you to work for it? You're going to say, no way, man. Then how do you expect them to? When you beat them down and say, I'm getting me a roof. I'm getting me a roof. It's only cost me $37,000. No, not typically. And they may do that for that price. And you may get it. Everything may go perfect. But you're not getting the roof that you think you're getting. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And down the road, typically about 6 to 8 years, you're doing it again. And that $37,000 you paid is going to be double then. Prices only go up. They don't come down. I don't care who the president is. I'm voting for Trump, but I'm telling you, even him, he's not bringing these prices down. What happens is the world now, there are some things that can come down, like what? Electricity could be free. It needs to be. Phone service should be free. And there's a lot of it is free. WhatsApp, Telegram, Google Voice, all that's free. Messenger, you know, those should, now you have to have internet service to get them. But once again, all that should be free. You can go downtown Houston or downtown in Phoenix. When I was in Phoenix, you could go downtown, and anywhere downtown, internet is free. You can log into the Phoenix internet system. It's free. You don't need any money. So all this stuff, and when I say free, yeah, somebody has to pay. Who? It's the billionaires. Here's one thing, too. I was listening to 5 minutes of the debate. J.D. Vance is a effing moron. The other guy, I know his name because I'm voting for his boss, Trump. The other guy, the real weirdo, that guy is a weirdo. Kamala's VP, that guy is, ugh. I want to throw up just seeing his face because something's not right about him. Okay. But anyway, they're talking. I love this stuff. I love this. They're talking about pricing and this, you know. I want to choose my words a little bit careful. The and I called JD Vance a moron. When you the taxes should be, we shouldn't have taxes at all, anywhere. There shouldn't be any taxes. If you let a free government system run, just so you know, 89%, 80, 89% of all the money of all that is collected by the U.S. Gov, 89 for taxes is 1% of the Americans. 1% of the richest people in the world pay 89% of all the taxes. So this is why I said JD Vance was a moron, because if they would just tell the American people the truth, and they don't even know it because they're stupid. You got people up there running for politics who couldn't balance a budget if you know, they just can't, without getting crude about this. Okay. If they would just tell the American public the truth, but no politician ever will. There's a couple of reasons: because they're stupid, number one. Number two, they don't want to, because if they did, we'd have a real revolution. If the politicians really told the American people what was happening, there would be blood in the streets. There would be a revolution. A revolution. A revolution. A real revolution. If they knew what really happened. So once again, 89%, you got to know this. 89% of all the taxes are talking about tax to get, because all that money you pay in gets returned to you at the end of the year. You get these tax returns. Some people have to pay, but I'm just trying to say 89% of all the taxes that's collected by the United States government is paid by the top 1%. They're the ones paying it. I think we collect $7 trillion a year. It may be, I think it's 7 trillion a year. And 89% of that 7 trillion comes from the top 1%. The United States government collects $7 trillion a year in tax money. 89% of that is paid by the top 1%. Do the math on how that breaks down. I know that wasn't a great question to ask, but I asked the computer. So 6.23 trillion of that 7 trillion is collected by the 1%, by 1% of Americans. That means that the other 99% of Americans that pay taxes pay 0.77 trillion. So just 3/4 of 1 trillion. 3/4 of 1 trillion is divided by 99%. The other 6.3 trillion of all the tax money that's collected is paid by the 1%. So this is why I say, listen, they're lying to us. There's no truth to anything these politicians say. It's either they're lying, they're incompetent, or they're downright stupid. It's one of the three. There's no naivety into this. Nativity. Being naive. There's no naiveness in here. I was dealing with the guy and he goes, I'm naive. I said, no, you're not. You're 60 years old. Cut that crap out. But this is what happened. This is the deal. And we're arguing. We're arguing over this. And who can do the best? Trump played with the idea of just killing the IRS altogether and getting rid of taxes. That would be the smartest thing to do. And then take all the money that we're collecting, because we collect the money. We collect money. We take it out of their checks. You don't get it back. Like you get a check. Let's say your employer takes out of the $100. Let's say they take out 10%. So now you get $90. Okay. You go to the store with your $90 and the store takes out, 10% in taxes. Now you're down to, well, you spend the $90 in the store and the store takes out 10%. Now you're down to 20% of what you made. You get my point there, right? This is not, I haven't thought out the numbers on this, but everyone gets taxed. You go to the gas station, you get taxed. You go to the grocery store, you're getting taxed. You go buy a phone, you get taxed. You pay your electricity, you're getting taxed. You buy food, you're getting taxed. You buy gas, you're getting taxed. There's nothing that you buy that you're not getting taxed. And you got taxed when you got paid. Like somewhere it doesn't have to stop, but you have to understand what you're in. And this is why we take this whole subject that we're talking about and we teach about what's called velocity banking. Velocity banking. And then we teach you how to be your own banker, which is the infinite banking system. Or concept, IBC, infinite banking concept. And once you learn this right here, your whole life will change literally overnight. It'll take about 90 days before you realize what you've done. And then you'll wake up in the middle of the night and you go, why did I not study for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? I've been cheating my family because I was too lazy. I was too arrogant. I was too whatever to do a little bit of studying in order to find out that I could have done this the whole time. Velocity banking is a strategy that's been used for thousands of years. Thousands. We only changed this strategy about 100 years ago. And when you change something, it takes 1 or 2 generations and then they forget about it. And then you don't hear about it. And then they rewrite the history books and they rewrite everything to where it's all erased, where you can't find it and you don't know. But velocity banking has been around for thousands of years. It's the way the banking system worked. That's why the banks were so freaking rich. Now they just tax you. They're still freaking rich. But their system is coming to the end. Like the Bitcoin is a mathematical formula. It's a math formula. Bitcoin is a math formula. And it ends with 21 million. You can't mine any more than 21 million Bitcoin. And then after that, it starts breaking down. It breaks down. Because it breaks down into bits. Go grab yourself a bit calculator. And you're going to see exactly how this stuff works. Okay? bits, cryptocurrency is deflationary, not inflationary. Watch what happens when Trump gets into office. He's going to do a lot of stuff here, and it's going to really, really explode the crypto world. And he's promised he's going to do it. He finally got his mind around it. Took him quite a while. We tried to talk to him about it on his first, and they called us idiots, stupid, and everything else you can imagine. Criminals, stuff like this. But anyway, this is the mathematical formula, and the more you use it, the more it breaks down. It doesn't make more Bitcoin, it makes more bits. The bits break down. Grab yourself a bit calculator. Okay? Grab yourself a bit calculator and start playing with it yourself. Ask your math teacher. Ask somebody who's smart, who knows how to use this. I had to ask somebody, what does this mean? How does this work? I forgot we'll go over we'll do a whole show on this, maybe at 9:00 on the bit calculator and how this breaks down. Okay. But it is really cool to see how this breaks down. Hold on a second. I almost want to do it now. All right, we're going to end here in 3 minutes, and then another show is going to come on, and then we'll come on an hour after that. Okay, let's take a look at crypto real quick. See what's going on in the Bitcoin world. By the way, our episode is sponsored by A1 Roofing Solutions. Now, they're not here in Texas. They're in Arizona. These guys are licensed, bonded, insured. They do a manufacture on a shingle manufacture install. These guys are certified. When they do your tile roofs, they know exactly what they're doing. They put 20, 30, and 50-year warranties on their jobs, and they're second-generation roofers. What does that mean? Daddy started it, and then Mr. Jose Camacho took over about 7 or 8 years ago. That's the son. And, the son was trained by the dad. And, but the dad trained him really well. And, he turned into be one great roofer. And now he's scaling the company, which is really cool. So A1 Roofing Solution, they're out of Phoenix, Arizona, licensed, bonded, insured, certified roofers. Now, by the way, they're on their way to coming to Texas, and that's going to be really cool to watch that happen, okay? So watch them in a neighborhood near you. You can hire them in advance. If you know you have a roof job coming there in the Houston area, anywhere in the Houston area, including all the way down to Conroe, Corpus Christi, College Station. By the way, welcome Tallahassee, Florida. Holy cow, our 6th station online now. I'm Fly Mackey with Smart Money Culture TV. We'll see you in an hour. Have a great evening, and thank you so much for being